Hey, welcome back to the Psychic Soul Healer channel. My name is Laura, and I'm going to do a general message for you all. Don't mind my crazy look today. I've been trying to run around and trying to get back into working out. And let me tell you something. I don't like working out. I'm a psychic being. I like to be up in my mind. The body and the mind definitely a lot of times have a very hard time working together, especially if we've gone through trauma. And the reason why is because we disassociate, we detach. And so that energy is still actually held in the body, and it's held in the body as stress. And it can make us feel lethargic, make us feel tired. So everywhere where there is a psychological imbalance, there's actually a physical imbalance. A lot of spiritual teachers teach this. I actually lived this, meaning I grew up in a home where my dad had cancer over 8 times. He had lower and back surgery. One surgery was 13 hours, the other was 8 hours. He was the smartest guy that you'd ever want to meet. He was the nicest guy that you'd ever want to meet. He just wasn't nice to himself. And so when we have spiritual imbalances, we form psychological and emotional blocks, and those blocks are considered spiritual blocks, meaning we only see one perception of our situation, and that situation is making us feel limited, making us feel not good enough, and again takes us further away from ourselves. So this channel, if you're new to the channel, is all about soul healing. Soul healing is all about integration, integrating the shadow aspects of self. And those are the parts of self that we detach from, the parts of ourselves that we wear a mask. We're like, I don't really want anyone to see this part because I feel I'm defective in this area. So I'm going to show this part. And because of that, I may overcompensate in my behaviorism. So we got the archetype cards going on today because we want to look at the archetypes of who am I and who the fuck am I dealing with? And because I want to know how to deal with this person, because it's all about the soul wounds, the samskaras, the karmic. That's what samskaras are. Again, the combination of astral energy and emotional energy held in the body of stress. It's what becomes your energy vibration. It's how you broadcast out into the universe who you are unconsciously. And so we want to shape shift our situation a lot of times. We want to be able to quantum jump. There's many different realities that play out at one time. And it, due to whatever level of consciousness that you're at, is going to determine your actions, your behaviorisms, your habits, your conditions, your reflexes even. Again, because when we go in and out of consciousness, a reflex is just a reaction. So we have also the trigger cards. Because again, our triggers are a lot of times they're subconscious. It happens so fast, and it happens because we're coming from an emotional standpoint, and we go from an emotional standpoint because we go in and out of consciousness when we are not aware of what we're doing. A lot of times it's because we're too busy reflecting on what has happened. So when you go into a karmic situation, it's a situation that makes you feel limited, that makes you feel not good enough, and again takes you further away from yourself. So you're too busy looking at the consequences of what might happen that you actually create what you don't want to create. So we look at the archetypes again because we want to look and see again all about the psychological and the emotional aspects of who we are, because that determines what our actions and our behaviorisms are, and your karma is based on that. So the stories and the themes that play out are always going to be identified with that. I always like to do a little bit of a explanation of the channel before I get started, because again, it's just a little bit different than other channels in the fact that I really like to focus a lot of the time on the spiritual elements Because again, everything that happens in the physical realm happened because of the spiritual. And if you want to heal, it's all about getting to the root of the problem, which is the psychological. And it's so that you can live the life that you want, because what you want today is not always what you're going to want tomorrow. If you're, especially if you're evolving, your wants, needs, desires change, and they're actually supposed to change, because again, our mission down here is to become to become this knowing that we're not separate from God, not separate from unconditional love, because that's all that God is. It's the energy of the universe. It's ubiquitous, and it also resides within inside of us. And so to become this light and this, unconditional love, to know it, we have to again heal ourselves, because again, that's what we really feel, the separation. And again, the separation comes from living in experiences that make us see ourselves and situations that take power away from us, that make us fearful. So again, two energies, love and fear. All right, now without further ado, like I said, I like to always give a little intro. It's again what spirit always, I don't know, it's spiritual nutrition, because it's not just about what's going to happen in my life. It's about why are things happening in my life, especially if you're looking to heal and you're saying, I don't like why certain things happen in my life. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, welcome. And anything of any relevance you can find in the description box. And no, I have 2 subscriptions going on for shadow coaching. Now, shadow coaching that includes child, um, inner child healing. It's also reparenting. It's also breath work. It's also meditation, EFT, and a few other healing modalities that you might want to take advantage of. It's $7.99 and $9.99. One's 1 time a week, one's 2 times a week, and there's a few extras for the $9.99, so you'll have to check that out. But if you're someone that keeps reliving the same undesirable life experiences, and you are starting to lose hope, lose faith, you'll know, because you'll feel depressed and suffer from depression and anxiety. That's usually a sign that we're spiritually imbalanced. You might want to take advantage of that, because you have to realize no one's coming to save you. You save yourself. And it's the realization that there's a divinity inside of self that allows you to do that. That's your spiritual sovereignty. It's to know that you are not separate from the divine, that you're always supported by the divine and by everything in the universe. A lot of times, again, detachment means we don't feel like we have anyone. So God helps those that help themselves. There's a reason why that saying is, because when we embody trying to help ourselves, it means that we are interactive in the process. So it doesn't mean excellence. It doesn't mean perfect. We're not perfect. It means that we do the best that we can. We shoot for excellence, but there is no such thing as perfect. We have our own unfoldment process, and it's about not judging your process, but actually doing the work to heal yourself. And that doesn't happen without doing inner child healing. It doesn't happen without doing shadow work and then reconditioning the body from the effects of the trauma. Because when we go through these experiences, we detach and we, again, have anxiety, and it doesn't just heal itself. And over time, that energy accumulates within us to a point that we become actually toxic, where we begin to attract nothing but toxic experiences, because that's all that we see. We've been conditioned to see. This silent war is the spiritual war, and it's of consciousness, and it's of your consciousness. If you're looking at certain areas in your life and you're saying it's not working, you have to say, are you showing up for yourself? You're loving yourself, or you're looking for someone else to love you? Because if you're looking for someone else to love you, then this is definitely not the channel for you. You have to want to heal. You have to want to love yourself enough to change your life, to transform your life. And that's by showing up, and regardless of what it looks like, because healing's a process. So I also had to just put that information out there too, because again, I'm trying to create a bigger mission here. It's a, we can change the world, but we have to change through healing our internal wounds. We have to learn how to integrate them. We live in a society that mentally we've evolved because we're smart, right? I mean, we can go to college. We have the best colleges. We have the best engineering programs, or at one time we did. But we're falling away from that because trauma, again, if you're in survival mode, you're not learning. You're not in a place to be open and receptive to learn because your brain doesn't work that way. And so, again, we're living in a traumatized society due to our perceptions of what might happen, due to, again, trying to protect ourselves. So we're unconsciously living from survival, which conditions the nervous system, which conditions, the way that you're going to view life, which is going to determine your actions, your behaviorisms, and sabotage. Sabotage is what comes from that. So if you're someone that finds that you sabotage your behaviorisms and you want to heal that, then this is a channel for you. Now, know if you want to enter into winning a free psychic reading with me, you have to like the video, you have to subscribe to the channel. Those are obvious. And then you have to write the magic word of the day. Magic word of the day is different every time that you enter into, in winning. Today, it's going to be timelessness. And timelessness is all about transcending time and space. So when we have a spiritual lesson that we haven't learned, right? Sometimes we're born into karmic families. And we're born into karmic families because we have a wound from a past life. So that could be timeless. The families that we're born into, a lot of times, again, we know them from a past life. We know their energies. We might not know them as being our mother or our father, but the energy is familiar. We feel as if there is a soul recognition. Again, ESP is through the heart and mind, and ESP is thinking about you, and there's an emotional connection because that's the energy of unconditional love. And again, that's the only energy that transcends time and space. So even if we're looking at something that's karmic, that's painful, if we're still hanging around the person that created pain because it's a karmic, well, again, there's still unconditional love there. That's the problem. There's a cognitive dissonance where we're, again, holding on. So that's what this card means. So, again, as a spiritual channel, it still also have new awarenesses of why certain things happen. So, again, if you don't like education, this might not be the channel for you either, because it's about awareness, so that you can heal your mind by seeing a different perception. But then it's also by doing certain protocols, rituals, and healings to ground that energy, to ground it, to see a different aspect of the situation. A lot of times, as the ego is, it says, I'll believe it when I see it. So a lot of times the ritual just helps us to cement in a new perception, a new reality that we want, a new intention that we want, which overrides the fear. Okay, so let's look at your energy. Now this video is going to be for anyone that lands on the video. That's why I didn't say anything in the beginning. I haven't been on in a few days, and I'll probably do a few videos today. I'm going to try and be a lot more consistent. I have a lot of things going on. So sometimes it's hard to be consistent, but that's what it is. A lot of times to be consistent, you got to go with the flow of life. And a lot of times that's difficult for a highly sensitive person. such as myself. Okay. Let's see what's going on for you. What's your spiritual energy? Detective, but it came out in the reverse. So this is more about worrying. Could also be, again, someone that you're connected to, or again, you are connected to someone. Take the message as it resonates, because energy is fluid. Never force anything, but the first card out is detective. So we're looking at the spiritual archetypes of who you are first. Or again, who you're really focused on. Maybe you showed up for someone and nothing's really going on in your life, so they're absorbing your energy, and they can be thinking of you too, especially if this card detective comes up. And addict is the other card that came up. So what I see here, I'm feeling that you showed up here because you've had issues within your relationship. And part of that is because you never emotionally get what you need. And so you're attached to someone that is acting like a detective. So they're not in your life, but they're spying on you. They're trying to obtain information on you to see whether you're dating, to see whether you're talking to someone, to see. This person has a very big ego. It's like they don't want to show any type of they don't want to show any type of, what is that word, like intimacy, but they don't want to show any vulnerability. That's the word I was looking for. They don't want to show any type of vulnerability because they have intimacy issues. So they don't want to act like they care. And so again, this addict, it tells me that because addicts feel inadequate. They feel that they need something outside of themselves to be whole, to be okay. And so I feel like this person, again, that you're connected to, there's a lot of chemistry between you and them. But on an emotional level, they don't give you what you need. So there is a sense for you, if I'm tapping into you and you're connected to this person, and you never really emotionally get what you need. A lot of times when we have someone like this come into our life, it's because we grew up in that energy of not getting what we needed on an emotional level, and sometimes physical level as well. But trauma doesn't know the difference between whether or not it was emotionally, psychologically, or any other way. It just knows energy. And so, like goes to like, you're a mirror of who and what comes into your life. And so, I don't feel like you are that comfortable being vulnerable either. And I feel like as if this person has made you feel stupid, and has made you feel stupid because they've gotten you to open up, but then they've held back. And so, again, this person doesn't feel comfortable with themselves. So they're acting like a mirror of actually what you need healing with inside yourself. So again, from the detective, this person is, trying to obtain information and then intuitively try and figure it out, but they're not intuitive because they're coming again from a strategizing perception of trying to obtain information instead of just having a conversation. So this energy is what I feel like is overriding. I want to look at the samskaras. I want to look at the wounds. Selfishness. See, and this is really what happens when you're connected to somebody that is an addict. They are selfish, and they're selfish not just because of what they're doing, but they're they're coming so much from a logical perception of my life is not good. My life, I get in my own way, but they blame everyone else. And so this is why they're selfish. They never want to learn a different perception of what they create because they never put themselves in anyone else's shoes. And so again, I feel like this is a wound within inside of you where you're like, I feel like I can be selfless to who I'm with, but the people I wind up with are selfish. So there's a little bit of an empath and narcissist connection going on here. And so this could be very well a trauma bond. Again, which would be a past life relationship abandonment. And this is what I'm saying. Like this person, when a person is, again, addicted, there's a sense of not showing up. And it's because emotionally they're not comfortable with their emotions. So they're always coming from a left brain logical perception. So if you're in dire need, if like you needed something, if you were stranded somewhere, maybe they'd come out and pick you up. But as far as being there emotionally for you, no. But there's a lot of chemistry there. So I'm feeling a lot of detachment from this person and also possibly you, because remember, our wounds we're unconscious to them. Your subconscious mind is really what runs the show. Think of an iceberg. The tip of the iceberg is your conscious mind. Everything underneath that water surface is your subconscious mind. So when we again grow up in environments where we emotionally didn't get, and that could be because some of you grew up in an alcoholic family. So learning that you don't need to be on a rescue mission. Because who wants to relive this? Because the people are selfish. They're stuck in their own way. And instead of really opening up, they're obtaining information about you. Because it's not like they don't care. This isn't about caring. They do care. They're not comfortable with the caring. And that's because of their own thing. But this is flipped over as almost like jealousy. I feel like this person loves to trigger you to try and make you feel jealous, because in that, you'll express some sort of feeling because they don't want to communicate. So because they don't want to communicate, they want to do things to get underneath your skin to do that, to get a reaction and to create a passion. See, it's they're very attracted. So, and they, being that they don't feel comfortable to actually have a connection, they create they try and come in a certain way, cocky and kid around, but then also try and create a little bit of jealousy and then intuitively feed you out. And then they've already collected information on you to see who they perceive that you are. So it's a lot of game playing, and it's this addict behavior of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And it's because they can't really give you what you need, and they can't emotionally give you what you need. Now I'm going to pull a trigger, even though it doesn't matter, because really with this type of relationship, with these type of cards, it's a no-brainer. Until a person heals himself, they'll always be jealous and then want to trigger you to act like you're jealous so that they could again keep that psychic cord. And it's really because they're not considering you. It's all about feeding themselves. Again, they're very selfish. And again, triggering your wound that you came into this relationship with. You had this wound before they came in. And it's because, again, instead of people really being in your life, they tend to come into your life and they don't create the intimate bond that you so desperately need. So you have a wound of feeling like you can't, that you can't have that. Now let's see what some healing advice would be, because even though, like, with this type of situation, we already see this person, like, is not really mature enough, because they're not coming in, like, they're not coming in as far with these cards, as an upright person. They need, and it's not because they don't care, it's that they have problems within themselves, and a person that doesn't love themselves can't possibly give you the love that you deserve. So again, unstructured. So this is all about finding yourself. It's, again, not needing for everything to look perfect. And understand this person may want to also try and keep things unstructured, which means no commitment, not really knowing, taking it as it comes. You may say, well, I still have feelings for them and I want to keep it unstructured and take it as it comes, see what happens. But I feel like it's the answer to everything straight across the board is, if you're going to bring this person back into your life, you should keep it very unstructured. However, it's all about finding yourself, because this person that has problems and doesn't love themselves enough would be very triggered by what you do. So I feel like the more that you feed yourself and find yourself, the less you give to this person, the more that it's, again, you can really see whether or not they're capable of changing, because you're not saying yes, you're not saying no, and it's finding your balance. Because a lot of times you have to say, why is this person in my life? Why do I have a connection to them? What am I supposed to learn from them? What if I can't walk away? How can I shapeshift this situation to the best way that I can create an outcome that I want? If this person isn't fucking capable, but I'm still attached to the person. And that's, a lot of times, it's not an all or nothing thing. And why I say that is because a lot of times we get so fed up and we're like, no, I don't want to deal with you. And then you cut it, only to feel bad and go back to that person and have that person either come back to you a month later, and then you feel bad. And so you didn't hold to your standard. You didn't hold to your truth because you were trying to hold to dealing with this person through an emotional standpoint. But when there's love there, even if it's a past life karmic mate, which is somebody that's coming in to teach you a lesson that you haven't learned. So it's going to be a hard lesson. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of anxiety around it. There's going to be a lot of anxiety and fear and whatnot. How do you deal with it? You keep it unstructured. You keep your boundaries, but you don't give this person commitment. You don't say, I want to be with you. You don't say, I don't want to be with you. You do you. You find you. You find you within your life. And in that, people can redeem themselves. I believe that a lot of times when we have a soulmate come into our life, that we're like, I just can't get rid of them. It's or I just really feel like I can't control. And the whole reason why is you can't control love. Unconditional love is the energy of God. It transcends time and space. It never dies. So you can love someone and then hate that person too, and understand that's why they say there's a fine line between love and hate. It's actually you love and hate the person. You love that person because it's I just have a connection to you, and no matter what you do, but I hate everything that you do and how you make me feel and all those other things. So I don't want to sound like a crazy person where you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out. So I put less energy to you and I put more onto myself. Fanatical. Right, because that person then is going to get crazy. And it's not like you want to see them crazy, but this person's afraid to show emotion. So soulmates, right, they teach. and they teach depending on what they do. That's what karma is based on. So this very well could be a karmic situation where this person would have kept you bound to them. And what I see here is you didn't allow that. You didn't allow that because if again, now this is advice, or some of you guys are actually doing it already. So it's like well, I didn't know what to do. So I didn't do anything. I just backed away. And I kept it real unstructured. I didn't say I want to keep you in my life. I didn't say I didn't want. I'm not doing anything. You give me energy, you give me energy. You don't give me energy, you don't give me energy. I don't really care. I feel like this person didn't do that, but I feel like you're in a place of surrender, and possibly because you got tired of fighting like your own mind, getting to a place. And this is what happens a lot of times, when we get stuck between our heart and mind. We fight between our heart and mind. It throws off our whole equilibrium, our whole sense of balance, because it's like, I love this person, but this person's treating me like shit. And it's like, I love this person. Why am I attracted to someone that creates pain? How come I can't walk away from? There's all that. And the reason why is because it's a spiritual connection, and it's a spiritual connection from past life. But it's not all rose-colored glasses. It's to come into your life to teach you about yourself, to teach you where your darkness is, and that you haven't been dealing with your darkness. And that darkness, I believe, happened from childhood, again, growing up in this type of atmosphere, and then having this person come into your life at this moment in time, possibly because you're making things happen within your life, possibly because they see you a little bit differently, that they expected, you to crumble and fall, and instead you didn't, because there's this jealousy card there. They were always trying to trigger you to get jealous, and really you will like put the energy into yourself, because I feel like you've already felt this way with them before, the whole abandonment issue and them and being around people that were selfish. So it's like you put the energy into yourself, and that was smart. And by keeping it unstructured, keeps a person wondering. So I believe that because this person, again, addicts, they're selfish, they have a big ego. And because if they actually had to look and see how they were treating people, they would feel bad. It's not that they don't have a conscience, it's that their ego is not letting them see their conscience. It's they're blocked out from conscious. And so that when a person has a big ego, they don't want to look and see how they don't want to take responsibility. So you made this person take responsibility. So sometimes these karmic mates come into our life just to teach us, again, about ourselves. And sometimes they can redeem themselves. And, if they're really meant, where soul relationships are supposed to help us evolve. The best case scenario, the best, is that they can evolve and meet you at your level of conscious and win you back. If you were really crazy about the person. And can that happen? Yeah, it can actually happen. Or it can work where the person's like, no, you're too much work. I have to rise up to you, and I don't really want to do this. However, it also could be like, I wound up rising up and you still don't want to be with me because now you've evolved past where I am. So there's all different types of scenarios, and we don't really know what that person is until they show us within their actions. Now let's see what the spiritual message, the divine fruit. As I work to improve and free myself, I strengthen my foundation. My intellect is light, my heart is warm, my soul is strength. I am nurtured by the divine sun. The fruit I bear reflects my inner light. So I'm feeling, like I said, you're doing a lot of stuff within your own work, working on yourself as you're in separation from this person. This person didn't expect that. That's why they're being a detective, because they don't know what you're doing. They're like, why is it so quiet? Why aren't you looking for me? Why is So, but it's because you again are, bearing your own fruit. And that, again, as I work to improve and free yourself, and that's how you are freeing yourself from this person, the bind that they're trying to hold to you. So it's not that there isn't a connection, there is, but you're able to look at the relationship and again say, why is this person coming into my life? Why did they come into my life? And that's how you strengthen yourself. You strengthen your soul by healing your soul. The divine brings us the people and the situations into our life that are going to heal our heart and our mind. So it doesn't also mean we're not supposed to be in each other's lives. There, some for a day, some for a moment, some for a season, and some for a lifetime. And I just feel like this person, they regret treating you the way that they did. I could tell because they wouldn't be a detective. But, they need to learn how to, be in a relationship. And what you learned is, even though I know that they were acting like that, it still wasn't enough for me. You still did all this other stuff to me. And you're not really fixing it. You're coming in the same way that you always did. Okay, attitude. I attract success and positive people into my life with my positive attitude. So realizing that, that you needed to become aware of this energy to heal this energy within inside of yourself. And you would have never did it unless this person came into your life. So I feel like you wound up, instead of giving this person energy, because they were essentially giving you nothing. It was a one-sided relationship, like all addict relationships are. This person's very selfish. They're not thinking about anyone except for themselves. So you had to go back into that situation to actually see what your self-worth is. And then to reflect that new attitude out into the world to attract what you're supposed to. So really, at the end of the day, you transformed your karma. And that was through going through the situation. With every single karmic situation, we have an opportunity to integrate it. You did. However, this person did not. And let's see how they feel. Let's see what they're stuck in now. Let's see what the energy, because a lot of times we'll say, well, what was their karma? They did all this to me. What was their karma? I want to know how they're going to pay for it. Deceiving. They're just still going to be like, now my heart really needs to be closed down even more. I'm going to be more fearful, more. It's again because they really thought that this was a spiritual connection. They really thought that, a lot of times people take kindness for weakness, and not until we, show them a different side. Addicts, like they said, they have a big ego. They don't really see reality. And the longer that you stay in a connection with a person like that, the more that they convince that they can treat you however they want to. And so what this is saying is that this person's not going to change, that they're just going to, enter into the next relationship, pretend that they really want a relationship and just only care about themselves, have an addict behavior. And an addict behavior could not just be about drinking, doing drugs. And again, which if that behavior I do believe is here, because again, if emotionally we're not getting, there's a sense of life is boring and I don't feel good about myself. So I have to do things to raise my energy, to make myself feel better, to make myself not think about who I am and the healing I really need to do for myself. So instead, I'm just going to go into the next relationship and meet someone and try and get over on them and suck their energy from them and be an addict. And, that'll probably live for a certain amount of time. And then I'll do it again and 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 again. Because this person doesn't want to take responsibility. They're like, my life isn't really that bad this way, until they get a disease. Will happen eventually. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and if you did, remember, like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.